Hello beautiful people and welcome to another video. In this one I'll be working on this beat up sideboard made by a company called Beautility. This company operated from 1896 to 1982 and these can get pretty pricey and it's fairly easy to sell them. The top is looking horrendous, so I don't know if I can save it, but let's see what I can do. These are definitely not original, and these are just broken. She put up a fight, but I managed to open the door eventually. And whoever decided to glue the hinge down to the MDF, thank you. These hinges are such a pain to remove. I'll sand this and see what it looks like, but don't have much hope because I can see that these stains are already underneath the varnish, so there's not much to work with. Let's see if we can do it the easy way. Which means I'm going to soak it with acetone, and if it works, it's going to be pretty straightforward. The reason I'm using a piece of cloth is because you want the acetone to sit on top of the varnish for a little bit before you remove it, otherwise it just evaporates or just runs off. Looks like we can. Which is great news, because scraping this whole thing or sanding, given this is all veneer, and that just doesn't sound like fun, does it? That was easy. How little did I know. Well, this was a flat panel, so this is pretty simple, but just wait until I get to the legs. Because this is a YouTube video and I want you to enjoy it, I'm making this look like it's very simple and takes no time at all, but in reality it does take a little bit of time and quite a lot of elbow grease. But given this is veneer, I didn't want to scrape it or sand it because I wanted to preserve as much of this veneer as possible. And I don't know if you've noticed, but the veneer on the doors is just beautiful, so I don't want to damage it. So I haven't sanded this at all. I've literally just removed the varnish, and you can see that there are a lot of little imperfections that someone just covered with the lacquer. There is a small repair. There's a decent chunk of veneer missing. And I guess that's all I had to say. But obviously I'll deal with that later and I'll fix it, because I'm a professional. I'll also need to fix this chunk of MDF missing from the corner. Judging by the paper stuck to the top, you can kind of tell that I didn't have much hope as far as saving the top, but I decided to give it a try anyway, because why not? And if I'm gonna cover it with veneer, I might as well try. Well, I'm not gonna get too excited about the possibility of saving this veneer, but I'll give it a go. I'm pretty sure I won't be able to get rid of this because this is just really bad, but other than the stains, the veneer is in a pretty good shape, so I'll give it a go because it's really nice. I'm just starting with acetone to remove any remaining bits of lacquer from the veneer, and then I'll just try different things and see what works, if it works. As it's often the case, there were some bits of veneer missing or some bits of veneer that were lifting, so I fixed them. Does this sound like Lord Vader, or is it just me? The next thing I'm gonna try is oxalic acid, which will bleach the stains, and let's just see how much it will actually bleach them. So I'm not going to do the whole thing because I don't want to waste oxalic acid if I'm not able to bleach these stains. So I'm just gonna wait and see. So this one was pretty much as bad as this, and I'm really surprised it's almost gone. This, I'm pretty sure it's not gonna go away completely, but it's small, so maybe I can deal with it. Alright, I'm getting excited because this is looking good. I think I can actually save this. I'm just gonna leave it to dry and we'll see what it looks like. So it seems like some of you had an issue with my choice of socks in the recent video. So I've decided to up my socks game with today's video sponsor, Bombas. You might think that these are just cool looking socks, but this is not the main reason I've decided to partner with Bombas. Every time you buy a pair of Bombas socks, the company donates a pair to someone experiencing homelessness, and they've already donated 150 million pairs, which is just absolutely amazing. Bombas is focused on making super comfortable socks, and there are many different styles to choose from, including compression socks, so if you are on a long flight, those would be very useful. The only way you can experience this is obviously if you just buy them and wear them, but I can tell you that after running 6K this morning, I can tell you that I have no blisters. They were very absorbent and very comfortable. And this is one of those purchases that you feel like you're doing something good every time you buy socks from Bombas. Someone who wouldn't be able to afford them will get one for free, and you feel like you're doing something good. When it's nice outside in the UK, which doesn't happen very often, I'm a very active person. I run a lot, I cycle, and I do all sorts of other things, and having great socks is absolutely crucial. Bombas offers shipping to over 200 countries internationally, as well as 100% happiness guarantee and free returns and exchanges if for whatever reason you need to do it. Working with a company like Bombas is absolutely the best type of sponsorship I can get, because not only they're helping me as a creator, they're also helping local communities, and I just feel great about being able to spread a good word and be part of it. So if you want to get great looking and comfortable socks for yourself and also help your local community, follow the link in the description or the QR code on the screen. Well, it's definitely better, but I don't know if it's good enough. I'm gonna try hydrogen peroxide. Though at this point, I might as well try essential oils or crystals, cause it's probably not gonna help. Just to be clear, I'm not hating on essential oils or crystals. If this is something you do, more power to you. By the way, I'm just cleaning the inside with white spirit, and I'm going to use Restore Finish because the varnish on the inside is not in a terrible condition and it just makes no sense to just strip it and redo it. And it's absolutely not because I don't want to do it. As you can tell, the legs are pretty cool and I definitely don't want to change them, but in order to clean them properly I need to take them off because the shape is just too complex. And this will allow me to get into all those nooks and crannies and do a proper job, because I'm a professional. But first, I need to do some sanding. What a hard life. After a short nap, I deactivated the oxalic acid and whatever else was on the veneer with some water. But what really happened, Mando just told me off for sleeping on the job, so I got back to it. You might be thinking, you've got a sander, why do it by hand? But again, I didn't want to risk damaging the veneer, so this was just the safest thing to do.
2,000 years later.
This is the most sanding I can do without going through the veneer, because this is already borderline. There's a big stain over here and another one here. I've been able to get rid of pretty much everything else, even this really bad one and this one, but I think this is some sort of grease. Or oil, but I guess it's the same thing. So I'm staining it because this is the only way to make the imperfections less visible, and I'm going to use some lacquer toner on top of it once the stain is dry, but you'll see what it looked like. And it is no bueno. And to be honest, depending on what angle you were looking at it from, it actually looked okay, but it just wasn't good enough. So I let it dry, and in the meantime I use Restore a Finish on the inside. And because it was a very nice day and it was quite warm, it didn't take long at all for the stain to dry, so I was able to start working on it again, trying to make those stains less visible. And the can I'm showing you, you can't tell what it is anyway because it's just a number, so I'm gonna tell you. This is tinted lacquer and the color is walnut, and I'm making the veneer darker because this is the only way to make those stains less visible. Unless of course you paint those stains with lighter color, but I'm not a magician. Well, would you look at that? I can't really see it. I'm going to use a tiny bit of epoxy putty because this is MDF, and I'll just color correct this so it matches whatever this ends up looking like. So this is what it looks like the day after, and there is nothing wrong with this, and if you didn't know, you probably wouldn't even know that there was a big stain. But I don't like it. It's too dark and you can't really see the grain very well because I had to make it dark to cover the stain. So I'm gonna replace it. Surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise. Are you surprised? Probably not. But I thought I could do better, so that's what I'm gonna try and do. Alright, I've got three choices. This is wild apple. This is teak. And this is ebony. And this is the winner. The other two, either the grain pattern was too different or the color just wouldn't work, so I think this is the best. Whether it is the best or it's not, I don't know, but I didn't have anything else that would match the veneer on this sideboard better, so it is what it is. This is spray contact adhesive and it's super easy to use, so that's why I'm using it. When it was dry to the touch, I used pieces of wood as spacers between the veneer and the top of the sideboard so it wouldn't stick until I was ready. And this way you don't need to stress about it, you just remove one piece after another whenever you're ready and just do little by little until you're done. And then you chop off all the bits you don't want, do a little bit of sanding, and Bob's your uncle. And when I was done with that, I sanded the inside of this sideboard because, you guessed it, I'm a professional. This metal piece of trim is a bit beat up and there is no easy way to fix it. If I take it off, it's gonna bend and it's gonna be a real pain to reattach it, especially that it looks like it's glued on. I'll see if I can fix it a little bit. This is actually working better than I expected, so I'm pretty happy with the middle bit. And now I see if I can kind of grind the edges because there's lots of dings. I'm actually pretty happy with how this is working. See if I can use this to kind of shape this middle bit. By the way, the green thing, that's a polishing compound. If you're wondering how long this took, I think it was almost a day. I feel like I've been doing this forever, but I've only got the 2 drawer fronts left and Bob's your uncle. And if you want one of those t-shirts for yourself, you can get it from my store, the link is in the description. At first I was actually thinking about just using my steamer to refresh this felt fabric, but it was pretty minging, so I decided to get rid of it and replace it. I found a diamond. I'm sure it's real. Wow, that was a real knee slapper. Those dividers were held in place by these thingies that were a bit rusty, so I just put them in rust remover. I've done a bit of sanding and there's a lot of scratches that I need to sand out without sanding through the veneer. But I managed to do it on the other drawer, so I should be okay. Because I'm a professional. I hope you're enjoying this video and thank you for not skipping, many people do. As always, wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone for watching my videos, leaving comments and liking, and contrary to some people think, it doesn't cost anything to subscribe, and if you haven't done so, now is your chance to do it, and you'll be notified every time I post a new video. As always, huge shout out to all the channel members, you guys are the best, and if anyone is interested in supporting me and my channel, you can find all the links in the description of this video. Thank you. You didn't think I was able to get away with sanding, did you? I used the squeegee interface pad on my sander for most of the surfaces, and for everything else there was just a lot of scraping with the tiny scraper and a lot of hand sanding. After all that sanding, a cut break was in order, so Mando came to the rescue. Alright, I'm coming home, don't cry. My original plan was to use hard wax oil, and this one has a little bit of white tint, so it doesn't change the color of the wood and just makes it look very natural, but I didn't like the way it looked and it just didn't look right with the rest of this sideboard. This metal piece of trim is silver and parts of the handles are brass and parts are not, so I just sprayed everything gold so it just looks the same. And after half an hour or so, because it was really warm so it dried quickly, I sprayed everything with clear satin lacquer. Don't know why, but those dome-shaped bits, they were actually made of brass, but the handles, they were some sort of alloy. So now that the hardware and all the metal bits are the same color, I need to do something about the legs because I just don't like the way it's looking, so I'm gonna use lacquer toner just to make it look a bit more brown, and the color that I'm using is actually called Perfect Brown, and this particular one is from Mohawk. If you've never used lacquer toner, this isn't something I can tell you how to do, but basically you just try to apply thin coats and just spray until you're happy with the color. This base originally was attached with screws and some wood glue, so that's exactly what I did. And for the top coat I used hard wax oil because it's just super easy to work with, and because it was very warm it actually dried quite quickly. This is one of several brands that I use and I quite like it, and the 30% on it basically means that it's shiny, so it's more like gloss finish rather than satin. And a little trick that you might not know about, if you have hard wax oil like the one that I'm using right now that's high gloss, but you don't actually want high gloss on a piece that you're applying it to, you can add a bit of white spirit and it will actually make it look more like satin. I applied hard wax oil to all the veneered surfaces, and as you can see it just made a huge difference, and especially on the doors because of the beautiful grain, it made it pop. This is probably the most satisfying part of each project, because until this point it just doesn't look like much, and as soon as you apply the finish it just makes it look awesome. I couldn't be bothered to remove the fabric from the old pieces, so I just cut brand new ones. And I've got this felt that I'm going to glue on these, and Bob's your uncle. And to make it super simple, I'm just using spray adhesive because it will do the job, it doesn't need to be super strong. And I'm not gonna show it to you, but those thingies that hold those dividers in place, I just cleaned them up and spray painted them off camera. I think it was actually a good decision that I decided to replace this fabric, because if I sell it to someone and they want to use this drawer as intended and keep silverware in it, they'll probably appreciate the fact that it's a brand new fabric rather than just a refreshed one. Not to mention, of course, that it looks nice. And for all the veneered bits in the drawers, I used Restore Finish because they were in a decent condition, so there was no reason to sand them and refinish. And now the tricky bits. As you remember, there was a piece of MDF missing from the corner and a bit from the back, so I used touch-up markers, or actually the paint or the lacquer, whatever is in them, and I just mixed the colors together and used a small artist brush to recreate the grain pattern until I was happy with the result. And actually I was pretty happy for once. Because I can't paint or draw, I've always struggled with this part, and obviously this is something you do quite often in restoration, but I think the trick to it is just layering colors, and yeah, it looked pretty decent. The piano hinge that was on the side door, it was originally black, so I painted it black because that's just how it was designed, even though the rest of the hardware wasn't black. And now it's finally the time to put everything together. Oh, and I applied hard wax oil to the insides of the doors when they were already in place because this was just the easiest thing to do. I'm going to install these nice metal magnetic catches instead of the old plastic ones. And now a $1 million question. Do I risk ruining this top and make it look a bit more like the rest of it? Because it is a bit too red. Or do I just leave it? Surprise, surprise, I didn't just leave it. Thank you so much for watching, and huge thank you to Bombas for sponsoring this video. Remember, you can get 20% off with my code FLIPPINGDRAWERS. All the links in the description. Enjoy the final results and see you in the next video.